Thank you. Listen, thank you all for coming out and being with us tonight. And I want to say a special thanks to Reince Priebus for leadership of the party. And Steve, I want to say thank you for the work that you've done, the invitation to be here today. And it is really important for all the candidates to come and ask all of you for your votes and your support. And I really have a special connection to the Iowa voters, partly because of that little town in Texas called Paint Creek where I grew up. And, you know, instead of growing corn, which we were watching being harvested this morning with Steve King, we were growing cotton, dryland cotton. And when I wasn't attending school, I was out helping on the farm, or I was over at Mr. Overton's place with Paint Creek Troop 48 and the Boy Scouts of America, or I was at a revival because my mother said that's where I needed to be. So, you know, we had two churches there in Paint Creek. We had a Baptist church and a Methodist church. Your choice. Pick one. Our teachers there at Paint Creek, they lived around the schoolhouse, and that building, it housed grades 1 through 12, and I will tell you, it was a bit smaller than Hickory High and Hoosiers. It was a tiny little place. Because I'm the product of those humble beginnings, I never associated happiness with what we had materially, but let me tell you, we were highly blessed spiritually. The fabric of my existence was family and faith and community. We were knit together by strong relationships of that abiding faith. And if a neighbor became sick, the community pitched in to help raise the crops. I know that spirit's still alive and well right here in Iowa. I was reminded of it a couple of months ago when a little town called Luana, they loaded up hay to send to Texas to help our ranchers who are going through a pretty tough time with the drought. That's just the way it is in small town America. People look out for one another. And it happens through private initiative. It doesn't happen because of government. As Americans, we don't believe Washington should be more central in our lives. We don't believe government exists to spread the wealth or dictate equal outcomes. We believe government exists to protect our rights and to guarantee our freedom. Our founding fathers were some of the very first to declare our rights were endowed by our Creator, and that among them are life and liberty, pursuit of happiness. While liberty may be the gift of God, its preservation requires the sacrifice of man. In order for America to maintain its moral authority abroad, we must set a high moral standard at home. That starts with protecting our most innocent and vulnerable unborn children. 50 million have died because America has not guaranteed the right to life expressly stated in the Declaration of Independence. As governor of Texas and throughout my career, I have taken an unwavering stand in defense of life. I signed legislation requiring parental consent for a minor to have an abortion. I signed Prenatal Protection Act. I signed an informed consent law. This year I was proud to champion and sign 2 other protections. One, a law that ensures pregnant women receive a sonogram before an abortion. And 2, I was proud to defund Planned Parenthood in Texas. That sonogram bill is tied up in the courts, and that reminds me of one of the most important responsibilities of any president, and that is to appoint federal judges who uphold the Constitution of the United States instead of rewriting it. Activist judges who gave us Roe versus Wade, and it is time for activist citizens now to pass a human life amendment. And on this issue, you don't just need to listen to my words, but you can look at my record. I've always appointed those strict constructionists who uphold the law and defend our founding principles. Being pro-life is not a matter of campaign convenience. It is a core conviction. And that conviction should include the protection of embryonic stem cells. The real advances in stem cell research involve adult stem cells. We do not have to compromise our values to advance science. This is true of embryonic stem cell research, and it is true of human cloning. One final thought on the issue of life. It is a liberal canard to say, I am personally pro-life, but government should stay out of that decision. If that is your view, you are not pro-life. You are pro having your cake and eating it too. We respect life. We respect life as a gift of God, and what God has created we should always work to protect. That's not merely an article of faith. It is natural law. When it comes to faith, it is the core of who I am, an essential act. It's an essential act as much as breathing is an essential act for me. I wish I could say I came to faith by virtue. But in reality, it was a struggle. It was only when I had nowhere else to turn that I turned to God. It was after I'd left the family farm, I'd gone off to college, I'd served my country in the United States Air Force, and I finally came to terms with the central guiding role of a personal God in my own life. I discovered my own limitations, my own brokenness. I found the true source of hope and change, and that is a loving God who changes hearts of stone into hearts of flesh. I think we can all find hope in the imperfections of the people that God used to write about in the Scriptures. You look at Moses, he was hot-tempered. David, he gave in to temptation. Paul, who once persecuted Christians, who later wrote so personally about his human struggles in the book of Romans in chapter 7. You know, in God's eyes, we are not disqualified by our imperfections because we are weak. He is strong. That's the good news. We are not called to be perfect. If any of you have watched my debate performances over the last 3 or 4 times, you know I am far from perfect. But here's another thing. Here's another thing you need to know about me. I stick by my principles. No matter what comes my way, my principles stay the same. Defend freedom, value life, make policy decisions based on what is best for our families. I will not accept today's status quo as the fate of America. I will not accept an America that is less productive at home and less influential abroad. I still believe in American exceptionalism. I still believe, like Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan, that America is the last best hope of mankind. When I'm president, I will not apologize for our country or our values. I will protect them. I will stand for life. I will stand for freedom. I will protect the right of people of faith to march on the public square and participate in this cherished democracy. I ask for your prayers. I ask for your involvement. And I ask for your vote. God bless you, and thank you for allowing me to come tonight.